Many creatures have inhabited the Earth over hundreds, thousands, and millions of years. Ancient creatures are usually found through fossils or bones, but sometimes something miraculous happens. Under very rare but incredible situations, a creature is very well preserved through one or more mediums. And in these cases, the skin, hair, scales, and even brains are preserved, and that leads to so many incredible studies and discoveries for scientists. We're going to be going over 4 animals frozen in time. But before that, click on the subscribe button to stay up to date on all of our future content. Let's get into it. The mummified remains of Bison priscus is an ancient relative of the modern bison. Were uncovered by a tribe in Siberia. Northern Siberia's freezing climate kept the bison from decomposing, and its brain and internal organs were almost perfectly preserved even after 10,000 years. Olga Potapova, the collector, curator, and manager at the Mammoth site of Hot Springs in South Dakota, helped to study the ancient remains. It's rare to find whole specimens in Siberia and North America. She said usually they're partially eaten or destroyed because they're lying in the permafrost for tens of thousands of years. This is an incredible find for many reasons, because not only can they see how the bison lived by looking at the contents of its stomach, it also helps paint a picture of the animal's looks, where it lived, and so much more than we could have never understood without such a well-preserved body for scientists to look at. The permafrost and low temperatures of the area it was found in must have been spectacularly cold to allow for such a specimen to occur. One of the most recent extinct animals also has been found well preserved, and by recent we mean the last ice age, where giant mammals called mammoths roamed the land in large packs. In August 2010, the well-preserved carcass known as Yucca of a woolly mammoth that was found along the Yar coast is a juvenile pale mummy mammoth that was found near and named after the village of Yucca Gir, whose local people discovered it. This mammoth mummy was found as an overhanging ledge about 4 meters. At that time, the first scientists arrived to study these mummified remains. This baby mammoth is one of, if not the best preserved mammoth of the time, and has been interesting to study for plenty of scientists in Siberia. It must be astounding to inspect a body from thousands of years ago. Now, you would think this is where the mammoth's journey ends, but you would be wrong. In fact, Japanese scientists have taken some of the cells of this long-dead animal and have been able to stimulate activity in the cells. They have used these discoveries, and the scientists believe that once better cells are found, it may be possible to bring mammoths back from the dead. Hundreds of millions of years ago, the oceans were chock full of weird creatures. They were monsters of their time, growing to colossal sizes, and one in particular is a creature we're glad doesn't exist in the present. Dunkleosteus is the scariest prehistoric fish that you never knew existed. As far back as 380 million years ago, these heavily armored fish were common in shallow seas in the world. They were typically 30 feet long and weighed up to 4 tons, the largest vertebrate in existence at the time. Their remains are common on land and have been found in plenty of states such as California, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Texas. The head of the Dunkleosteus skeleton usually looks like that of a very angry but very big leatherback turtle, since both of the creatures share similar pairs of blade-like jaws that you can see quite clearly. We owe the well-preserved structure of the Dunkleosteus remains to their heavily armored skin that's held up pretty well over the past million years. While the body usually rots away and doesn't fossilize as well as the head, what we have left is the terrifying reminder of what used to creep in our oceans almost 400 million years ago. The biggest bird to ever exist at one point was met with the killing power of early humans, but some parts of this bird, known as the moa, were preserved well enough to be on the list. The moa was a flightless, wingless bird native to New Zealand. The upland moa had feathers covering every part of its body except for its beak and feet. During an expedition in New Zealand's Mount Owen cave system, archaeologists discovered the mummified claw of an upland moa, which still had its muscles and skin intact. The archaeologists took the claw in for analysis and were shocked to discover that it was only 3,300 years old. The extinction of the moa was one of the fastest ever documented, with all 9 species disappearing barely 100 years after the Maoris landed. Since the birds were flightless and slow to mature, they couldn't reproduce fast enough to combat the Maoris' hunting. Destroying a species like that takes a lot of work and persistence, but at least we have some rare specimens to be able to take a look back at what value was lost, which must have been some magnificent life. The claw that was well preserved has been an interesting find for scientists, and it is always shocking to find such an old piece of animal so well intact. We've had a long journey talking about all these well preserved animals, but they've had an even bigger journey as detailed by the way they were found. We do hope you had a good time with the video, and as always, have a great one.